and Express 106.5 FM.
We are on KCAA 1050 AM all over Southern California area, also on your favorite podcast platform. If you missed us live, you can catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire, or Android on the free Building Solid Foundations channel at any time. Also, there are clips of us up on YouTube on the Building Solid Foundations channel. Today, we are going to be talking with Ivory Ulysses Sully III, who was born in 1957 in rural Salisbury, Maryland. He was in the NFL. His father was a well-respected doctor in the community, and his mother was dedicated to raising him and his siblings. In 1967, they relocated to Leona, New Jersey, where Ivory spent the remainder of his childhood. At Leona High School, he collected awards and trophies in All-State tennis champion, All-State track champion, boys state in New Jersey, as a leadership representative for his high school, Waringer Award for school's best athlete, and was selected to the All-Century football team by the Bergen National Record. He later went to the University of Delaware and was a starting running back for his sophomore, junior, and senior years. He was the ECAC Player of the Week, sophomore and junior seasons. He was a member of the Division II National Champion runner-up team in his senior year, and he was a participant in the Division II playoff games in both his sophomore and his senior year. After graduating from the University of Delaware with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Physical Education and Physical Therapy, with an emphasis in athletic training, he left the East Coast to follow his dream to play in the NFL and earned a spot with the Los Angeles Rams. This was the original Los Angeles Rams before they went to St. Louis and came back to Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Rams that I grew up rooting for, having been born and raised in Southern California. His first year, he played in the Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was at the Rose Bowl that year. I remember watching that. It was almost a home game for the Rams, and earned his NFC championship ring. Unfortunately, they were up against probably the greatest team of the 70s, which was the Steelers, and very few teams came away with a win against that kind of a team. His 6-year career with the Rams, he became the first dollar back in the NFL, a position that was developed by legendary defensive coach Bud Carson. And he became known as the hardest hitting defensive back of his time, getting the nickname Mr. Hit. He made the playoffs in 79, 80, 83, and 84, and was also the player representative and selected by his teammates for the NFL's Players Association from 81 through 84. He finished his career playing 2 seasons for the Buccaneers and a season for the Detroit Lions as a defensive back. And after 9 years, he missed his first game due to a shoulder injury. So he played all the way through as a starter. And his last play of the game, he had his Rudy moment where he forced a fumble that was recovered by the Lions, who went on in that game. Following 9 successful years in the NFL, and that doesn't seem like a lot for most careers, but the NFL, that's a lifetime. He transitioned seamlessly into fashion and apparel industry as an entrepreneur and a business owner. And he is an expert at all facets of fashion design, marketing, licensing, sales, and public relations. He's also the owner of Sully Executive Services. He facilitates corporate growth through team building, motivational speaking engagements, mentor leadership, global brand expansion through licensing and contract negotiations, and corporate development. He also volunteered with Servite High School in 2009, where he began coaching. Servite actually is where my business partner went to high school back in the old days in Anaheim. They went on to win 2 CIF Southern Section State Pac-5 championships in a row and the CIF Division I State Championship in 2009. He was hired full-time as assistant head coach and director of football relations until the head coach retired in 2013, and he continues to pursue his passion for football whenever possible. He was also director for 3 years of the Mescalero Apache Tribe Sports Camp and Native Vision Sports and Life Skills Camp at the Navajo Reservation in Shiprock, New Mexico. He does the Turning Leaf seminars where he's been a guest speaker and a facilitator. And he is also, recognition came in 2009 when Ivory was inducted to the University of Delaware Sports Hall of Fame. So it's a pleasure to have Ivory Ulysses Sully III on our show today. We're going to talk about some of his background, but we're also going to talk about something else that's very near and dear to him, and that is the issue of CTE. He works with WCTE, which is Wes Chandler's organization. Wes Chandler, also NFL great, former Pro Bowler with the Saints, the Chargers, and the 49ers. Ivory, welcome to the show. It's actually a pleasure and an honor to have you.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's a real pleasure to be with you, my man. And I'm sorry to have to put you through that extrication of my information. But when you get old, that's what happens. It just gets a little bit longer.
You live long enough, and there's a lot of things you've done. But I think it's important for the listeners to understand your diverse background. It's not just that you excelled in sports. You also did well in the business world and fashion, and then doing the consulting work. And I think that's and now you're very much involved in helping to address the major health issue with CTE, working with Wes at WCTE. Now, your relationship with Wes, obviously you both were in the NFL around the same era, so you would have known each other, would have played against each other, I assume.
Correct. Absolutely. Yes, many times.
If you were defense and he was offense.
He was offense. That's right. So we're very familiar with each other.
Okay. And did you ever have to throw him onto the ground?
Oh, well, come on. That's Wes, man. But sorry, yeah, I did have to. I mean, we go back to New Orleans when he was with the New Orleans Saints, and then he came over for to the Chargers. And it was just always, Wes was always difficult to deal with because he's a big receiver with a lot of speed, and that's a really dangerous combination.
Lethal combination, exactly.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And he truly was one of the greatest players to play. And back in those days, the NFC West, as I recall, was San Francisco, Los Angeles, Atlanta, and New Orleans. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's what I remember.
Yes, sir.
Weird division for the West because Atlanta's nowhere near the West, but.
Absolutely right, and New Orleans, you know. So
New Orleans, exactly.
New Orleans. So we were in the NFC West, and actually we clinched the NFC West championship in '79. My first year against the Saints on Monday Night Football. So yeah, I've got those memories that are firm, and the West was serious. You know, you got Joe Montana, forget about it. If I start talking about that, we'll take the whole time talking.
I remember back then the Rams, their big adversaries were the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. Almost
that's
every year,
exactly right. You got it. Exactly right.
Yes, I grew up in Southern California, so that's
there you go.
All right. So your involvement with this organization, did you personally experience the problems of CTE, the traumatic brain injury?
You know, this thing has come so far in the fact that we are even being identified as of having problems with regard to our thought process, our brain, you know, our being, you know, for playing the game of football. The game of football is it's a tough game. It really is. And quite frankly, I like what the NFL is doing now in making absolutely, you know, as you can, as far as you can, making an absolute effort to take the head out of the game. Okay. You put the head in the game, you've got a problem. Needless to say, I played back in those days. And back in those days in the 70s and 80s, we played with our whole body. Okay. So yes, was I one that utilized my whole body to affect a situation? Yes, I would do anything to maintain my job in the NFL because I loved it. It was a passion. It was what I wanted to do my whole life from the time that I was 10 years old. So yes, I was willing to do and follow any instruction that I was given. And in those days, you were taught to put your head in front of the tackle, which is the absolute opposite of what really should be doing. And now I'm coaching the technique that keeps the head out. So yes, there are some remnants of that CTE or forgetting things, forgetting words in the middle of a conversation. Yes, there are those things that are happening to me as I am getting older. And it is a passion of mine to work with Wes to see if we can affect a change and improvement or help the lives of people, of my brothers.
Right. And you know, of course, initially football didn't have helmets, and then they had the soft leather helmets that you could fold up and put in your pocket. And then they went to the hard helmets. And when they went to the hard helmets, instead of a protection for the head, it became the weapon. It
That's
became the
right.
hardest thing. So you wanted to use it to spear people with. I mean, there used to be a call spearing. They kind of
That's
call it
right.
targeting now, but we used to call it spearing.
Do you
And
remember?
you were taught to do that to some degree because you could knock the wind out of somebody, knock the ball out by using your helmet.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to officiate high school in Pop Warner football. And I remember a game with, I mean, kids. I would say these are probably 9 to 10-year-old kids. And one of the kids, he went in for the tackle and went head first in for the tackle. And he ended up injuring his neck. That was one of those, 35, 40-minute timeouts with an ambulance that came to pick the kid up and take him away. And it was because of using the head first. Only instead of damaging the head, it was the neck that was damaged. And that was, completely wrong technique. And now, of course, there's targeting penalty. If you lead with your head, there's a flag, there's an ejection. They're really sitting on it. And I think it's a big improvement. I always marvel at what they do with the Australian leagues and those kind of rugby and that kind of stuff. Almost insane. But I think the technique's changing. We're gonna have to take a break. When we come back, I want to get further into the story and kind of walk down your history in the game and what you're doing with Wes's organization now in helping the people that are dealing with this. This is Building Solid Foundations Radio. We're talking with Ivory. He is a former NFL player, and Ivory Solly worked with the Rams for over 9 years. He's very experienced with the NFL, and he's also still very involved helping people. This is Building Solid Foundations Radio. We'll be right back after this short.
Choose power today and help us create a cleaner planet. Over the past years, utility prices have rapidly increased. Power provides home energy solutions that would save money. Power is the world's first virtual solar company that aims to adopt sustainable energy worldwide. Our company delivers low-cost, clean, and reliable energy solutions. The solar investment allows you to become eligible for an income tax credit. The solar investment is a great way to provide long-term value. Power is the first solar company that reduces carbon footprint for a cleaner environment. Power is experienced and one of the fastest growing solar companies in the United States, which provide the best solutions according to your needs. Call today for your free solar consultation. Join us as one of our ambassadors and earn $1,000. Earn $1,000 when the installation is completed. Free sign up at www.power.com/marie.waite/ambassador. Feel good about what powers your life. Marie Waite, your solar consultant. 95137855316. Enjoy your life with solar.com.
Solid Foundations Radio.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations Radio. I'm your host, Steve Matley. Today we're talking to Ivory Sully Sully III, actually. He is the former Los Angeles Rams, and he also played with the Buccaneers and Lions in a long career, distinguished career in the NFL. We were talking a little about his involvement with WCTE, which is Wes Chandler's company that helps people that are dealing with CTE and other traumatic brain injury issues. Wes has been on our show previously and talked about how by using biopharmaceuticals and behavioral therapy, they're helping people. So Ivory, when we left off, we were talking about some of what past was, about how football in the past was use your head as a weapon. And now we're training the opposite. Keep your head out of the game as much as possible. Use your shoulder, your arms, use other parts of your body to protect your head. So for people of your generation, that have come out. And it's not just football players. There's car accident victims. There's PTSD from military. There's a lot of, boxers, kickboxers, that kind of stuff. We are slowly getting a better understanding. So what have you seen as far as what people are dealing with problems of having their brain shaken up?
Yeah, I don't. Back in the 70s and 80s, you remember the how they would present the NFL or football on the weekends? They'd have these shows where there were these big hits, you know what I'm saying? And
right.
Whoever had the biggest hits was the most glorified and the baddest guy out there, you know what I'm saying? And it's unbelievable, because if you look back to those days, the head is right in the middle of everything back then. It's just ridiculous. And not only that, but the game was played a little bit differently, where, if we would you'd have to take care of certain things in a certain way. How do I say this diplomatically? There was a science to playing football, and it came down to being physical, being ultra physical, okay, and taking the game to the limit that we could go, and taking a guy out or whatever it might be. You know what I mean? But that was then. This is now. Now you see, and I watch football now, and it's almost like they're overprotective, and they're actually impinging on the play of the game, and they're taking out of the steadiness of the game. The officials are. And I saw a game, the other day, Frank Clark had a tackle on a quarterback, and it was just a sack and a tackle and a recovery of a fumble. I mean, that was called a 15-yard penalty. Now, so there's a danger that we have, that we can play this game safely, but still play the game. And that's what we have to really be careful of. The most important thing that I think that I do is I'm involved in kids, and starting these kids off to understand how to play the game, how to tackle, how to use your body, how to keep your head out of the game. And when we do it like that, and they have the tools when they're young, they can be brought up, and then we can actually refine our game. It's really tough when, you see guys, and I've met guys and seen guys that I've known when I was playing, and then you see them today, and it really is shocking, the effects of the game that it's had on some of our brothers and my brothers. I mean, from not being able to speak fluently to not being able to walk, and all of the damage that it does to your body orthopedically, but with regard to your brain and all of that we don't see, but we have to communicate and speak, and then we have to think, and the memory is going, and it's just astounding that we have a class of football players specifically. And you're right about, the MMA and boxing and all the other sports that there are, but I'm just speaking about football. It is something that I am dedicated to, because I think that I want to help my brothers, all right? I still have my senses. I want to utilize my senses, and I want to put whatever I have into it to make the quality of their lives better. And what WCTE has is a pro forma that wants to put that down and lay that down, and give these guys the help that they might need, or give them relief from what they are experiencing. We've given people joy and filled stadiums for our entire for our entire playing career. But then after it's all over, it's not a good match it's not equal. Okay. And so I want to equalize this thing so that the quality of these guys' lives is affected in a positive way.
Right. And I think you're right. The game is changing a lot. I watch football still, more college football than pro, just because, when the pros all left LA for so long, you lose track, right? So it's kind of, okay, whatever. But the college football has already been there, and I find it very exciting as well. But I do see sometimes the frustrating calls to protect, and you understand yes, we safety first. Yes, we got to protect the players, but there is a game, and it's a game that comes with inherent risk. That the excitement of the game is that there's risk. The excitement in soccer is the collisions. The excitement in basketball is the, even though it's supposed to be a non-contact sport, there's a lot of contact in it. The excitement in hockey is the checking. The excitement in football is the hits. If you take that away, you've taken away the essence of the game at that point. The fun's gone. At the same time, we also don't want another generation coming up that's going to have these problems when they get older. So you're right. The balance is the thing. And I think the key, what you're saying, is train them up now how to play safely, how to play aggressively, but safely. And we'll see that balance in the game in the future. There'll be aggressive play. There'll be good hard hits, but we won't have people that less chance of people in their older years that are having early cognitive decline because of their experience on the field.
I think you pointed it out very well with regard to Australian rules football. That's a prime example that there can be a game that's played on a successful level at a very physical level, but they're also that you're taking the head out of the game, Yeah,
and then the only way that works without helmets is they're not using their heads as the weapon.
That's correct.
They're consciously protecting them.
That's right. Yes,
and rugby the same way.
And rugby, correct. 100% right.
Rugby is a lot of shoulder and chest action. Arm, shoulder, and chest action is what that is. If you watch it, they're not digging their head into someone's sternum. They're not trying to hit somebody head to head. In fact, they're always, if you watch the way they're playing, they're intentionally trying to keep their head away from the impact and use the shoulders, use the arms. They turn sideways when they go into people. They're also extremely well they work out. They're extremely buff and well built. They're using that muscle mass, which is much more effective at stopping a person than your head anyways.
Yes. And in our coaching right now in high school, we practice rugby tackling. That's the tackling format that we utilize from high school, okay, and keeping them in a sound position, using their chest, using their shoulders, using their arms, using their legs to go ahead and mandate a tackle in a physical way. It's possible, and we have had a lot of success with regard to our high school football players and taking on that format.
So just curious, do you think that going to the helmets in football was initially maybe a mistake that led down the wrong path?
Well, there's no question about it. I was just thinking about that and talking about the helmets that have really been the reason that there's been okay, let's just go ahead and use the head. I'll be okay because I've got this protection on my head. Well, guess what? That thinking is leaving football right now. And I do think that having the helmet in the game absolutely brought the head into the game. There's no doubt about it.
It didn't protect the head. The head became the weapon, and
that is correct. Yes,
right, because it was the hardest thing you had. If you had players put hard shell armor on their arms to protect themselves, they would start using that against each other as a weapon. It would not become a protector. It would become the weapon. Yes.
Yes. Well, you remember the Lester Hayes days when they used to strap up here and tape up here. There was plastic underneath that, and absolutely the taking guys out with your forearm, that was there. That happened. Yes, sir.
So the very thing that was supposed to help protect people ends up being the very thing that hurts them, and that's it's counterintuitive, but it's just the way things work. And that's why it's always been amazing to me that the issue was in American football has always been the most heavily protected of any sport. It's got more PPEs in it than any sport there is, and yet it's got that highest injury rate. And you wonder, okay, so did we overplay that hand? And I think you're right. I think it did. I think we missed the mark on that. We tried to do something safe and only made it less safe because there was no real training or technique that was with it. It was just, here's a helmet.
Correct.
And for decades, the harder the helmet became and the bulkier the helmet became, the more it was used as a weapon. The helmets now are actually much lighter and smaller than what they were probably back when you were playing. I see the helmets now. They're much lighter, smaller. They got a little more flexibility to them than the big, heavy, hard helmets of the 70s and 80s that used to be out there. That was when I was in high school. We're going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation. And we are talking with Ivory Sully. He was NFL for many, many years, about a decade or so, very successful. And we are talking about CTE and his involvement with WCTE, which is Wes Chandler's company that is helping people that are dealing with the effects of CTE and other brain diseases. We'll be right back on Building Solid Foundations Radio after this short.
Choose power today and help us create a cleaner planet. Over the past years, utility prices have rapidly increased. Power provides home energy solutions that would save money. Power is the world's first virtual solar company that aims to adopt sustainable energy worldwide. Our company delivers low-cost, clean, and reliable energy solutions. The solar investment allows you to become eligible for an income tax credit. The solar investment is a great way to provide long-term value. Power is the first solar company that reduces carbon footprint for a cleaner environment. Power is experienced and one of the fastest growing solar companies in the United States, which provide the best solutions according to your needs. Call today for your free solar consultation. Join us as one of our ambassadors and earn $1,000. Earn $1,000 when the installation is completed. Free sign up at www.power.com/marie.waite/ambassador. Feel good about what powers your life. Marie Waite, your solar consultant. 951-378-5316. Enjoy your life with solar.com.
Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations Radio. I'm your host, Steve Matley. We are continuing our conversation with Ivory Sully, former NFL football player who works with WCTE, which is a company that is founded by Wes Chandler, also former NFL, who works with people to help relieve and support them if they're dealing with issues from CTE or other brain injuries. Now, Ivory, I know, are you on the board of Wes's company?
I am, yes.
You are, okay. And what do you do with Wes's company? How did you get involved with Wes's company? How did you make that connection? And then what is your position?
Well, Wes basically called me up and asked me if I would take part in this initiative. Go down to a lab, and there's a guy that was doing things and but doing clinical studies on the brain, and what would happen if he used his technology, which would be, to put the pods in on your skull, and get a reading on how you are communicating, how you are absorbing, how you are eliciting, how you are talking, everything. And so, and actually from that, find out where you are in the curve of the CTE infiltration, or being or having a CTE symptoms. So I did that. It was very good, and I started just rolling with it, and then we got more of our former players involved with that. And as I saw it grow and the initiatives really take hold, and they're really being, and you can see the need and the importance of the information that was being taken from our study, we really could actually affect change in what we do and how we do it, and change in how our brain functions, and it can be reinforced, and it can be re-strengthened. And so I was in at that point. Whatever Wes wanted to do, great, let's freaking do it. Okay, so we've gone through some things where we've had products in the market and such, and then we've really taken this thing now to a different level, where we're actually developing a product that will affect the concussion situation with kids, with college kids, with grown men, by developing a mouthpiece that is clinically beneficial to, helping reduce the blow that happens when your head is in a collision on a football field. And so anytime that you are playing a sport where you would need to have a mouthpiece in, well, basically that is where we would come in, and we would, have our mouthpiece come into play and be sold and marketed and help kids, help adults, help people that are doing these sports.
Okay, and I see it's a little bit it's evolved, because when I first got involved with WCTE, and just so disclosure to the listeners out there, I am an investor. I was an early investor in WCTE. I believe in what you're doing. That's why I didn't invest in it hoping to make $1 gajillion, although I really hope it does. But the fact is, I did it because I believe in it as a good cause. And the emphasis was really on dealing with the aftermath. It was helping to treat symptoms and help alleviate some of the outcomes of people that are already dealing with it. I think it's great that there's a portion of this is going to preventative. Prevention is always better than curing if we can. Obviously, for people that already have this, the only thing you can do is help to cure and alleviate and mitigate. But for the up and coming generation, if we can prevent, and I say it's nowadays with the growth of other high contact sports like lacrosse, hockey is becoming much more popular in non-hockey areas now. We're seeing that grow up, build up pretty fast. We're seeing the growth of things like the UFC type sports, the martial arts. All those have impacts to the head, and all those are susceptible. And it's not just about concussions. It's about even when there's not a concussion, it's the shaking of the head, or the sudden, it's the motion and then the sudden stop of the head. It's the brain bringing around inside the skull is the issue.
That's right. That's what a concussion is. Concussion is the brain hitting against the skull, and you get some damage, collateral damage.
We always think concussions means you crack the skull, but you don't have to break the bone to hurt the brain.
That's exactly correct. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's great to see that the emphasis is moving towards prevention as well as cure. I also was interested when I talked to Wes on our show a couple of months back. We had him on the show. He was talking that besides the pharmaceuticals type stuff they were doing, the biopharmaceuticals, they were also introducing behavioral therapy, because there's a portion of that is a big piece of the puzzle. So it's a multi-pronged approach that WCTE is taking to address it from many different angles. And I think that's necessary, because I think it manifests itself in different people in different ways.
I don't think that you can have one without the other, or have one without the others. I think it's a cumulative science. Okay, so all of them together will affect change, and hopefully the change is a positive one. And there are other entities out there. I saw Lee Steinberg, who's the agent from years ago, and is still an agent, but he's involved in this in the brain and the recovery of your memory, and if you forgot, any damage that you might have had to your head, even he's involved in it. So it is a growing and very important thing that we're doing. The NFL found it important enough to finally take a study to what the concussion study and what the damage that has actually occurred in players, and is actually tracking it and has tracked it, and the findings of that, it's shocking. It really is. It's shocking that, wow, we didn't really know what we were in. But I tell you what, I was in it, and I wasn't going to not get in it because of any of those, those things hurting me, or the threat of those things hurting me later on in life. I'm not concentrating on that when I'm 21, 22, 23 years old. I'm concentrating on, how am I going to hit this guy and get him down? Earl Campbell, how are you going to get that guy down? That guy, are you kidding me right now? I had to think about how to get Earl Campbell down. And, more times than not, the head was in it, so what can you say? That's really what it was. That was the deal.
And that's true. The knowing, so we have these old fallacy that, well, if we just educate people, then they make better decisions. No, at that age, you can know exactly what's going on. Boxers have always known what they call being punch drunk.
That's right.
Punch drunk. Muhammad Ali had that with the Parkinson's. He got hit enough in the head that it affected him. They always knew that. But when you're 20 something years old, especially if you're 20 something years old and you're coming out of relative poverty, and your ticket to get out of that and to get your family out of that is to use your skill and your talent that you have into boxing, football, whatever it is that's got that high risk to it, you're going to do that. Plus that you enjoy it. It's fun. It's an adrenaline thing for you. And yes, even if we know that's going to happen, we'll probably still make that decision to do it because it's what we want to do.
Correct. There's no question about that is the way. And now, I mean, look, when I came in, I signed a contract for $500 and a $25,000 salary. Okay, they make these things that they make it in an hour now. You can.
Right,
so money
right.
is definitely a thing that promotes wanting to play the sport, for crying out loud. But it also, in an intelligent way to participate. It is actually coming. Guys are actually understanding what's going on with their body and such, and they're really taking. I think they're taking a different slant than they did when we played back in the day.
Yeah, and athletics is so much a part of everything else too. You coach at a high school level, and a lot of your players, I assume, are banking on that to pay for their college.
That's
right. If they can
right.
get the scholarships, they may know that the chance of them ever going to the NFL and doing well in that may be very slim. But if they can get a 4-year education out of it and play football doing that's worth it. That's worth $150,000 right there, just in the tuition.
Yeah, $150,000 a year is what that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And we had last year, we put, I think we put at Servite, we put 10 guys into Division I schools with full rides. I mean, we have these, and schools do this, have these functions where scouts come as a group and they watch our practices, and we run through drills so they can see, engage. Oh, can this guy come to Arizona? Can this guy come to Oregon? And the scouts from there, they make those decisions on these days that we actually have, these days that we're performing for them, basically. And it's very important. And it's one of the things that promotes people to come to Servite, for example, or schools in the Trinity League, for example,
right.
We have a very high skill level in our league. It's the best league in the country, quite frankly. And, there's that motivation there. So putting that all together, and also understanding that we have to play this game the right way physically so that we don't, hurt ourselves, for later in life. That really is the thought process that we're trying to impose on our kids.
All right, we have to take another break. We're going to come back and wrap this up in just a minute. I'm with, this is Building Solid Foundations Radio. We are talking with Ivory Sully about football, about CTE, and about the WCTE, the company that he works with to help prevent and cure people dealing with brain injuries. This is Building Solid Foundations Radio. We'll be right back after this.
Choose power today and help us create a cleaner planet. Over the past years, utility prices have rapidly increased. Power provides home energy solutions that would save money. Power is the world's first virtual solar company that aims to adopt sustainable energy worldwide. Our company delivers low-cost, clean, and reliable energy solutions. The solar investment allows you to become eligible for an income tax credit. The solar investment is a great way to provide long-term value. Power is the first solar company that reduces carbon footprint for a cleaner environment. Power is experienced and one of the fastest growing solar companies in the United States, which provide the best solutions according to your needs. Call today for your free solar consultation. Join us as one of our ambassadors and earn $1,000. Earn $1,000 when the installation is completed. Free sign up at www.power.com/marie.waite/ambassador. Feel good about what powers your life. Marie Waite, your solar consultant. 951-378-5316. Enjoy your life with solar.com.
Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations Radio. I'm your host, Steve Matley. Today, we've been talking with Ivory Ulysses Sully III. He is a former NFL with the Los Angeles Rams for most of his career, finished up with the Buccaneers and with the Detroit Lions. We've been talking about his involvement with WCTE, which is a company founded by Wes Chandler. And what I want to talk to you about, Ivory, is your main motivation for doing all this. You have a lot of things you're already accomplished. You could just hang back and retire and just enjoy your life. I know you're also doing high school football coaching and stuff. But what is your motivation for getting involved in this and doing this, and what makes you want to get up every morning and participate?
That's a great question, and I thank you for asking it. The motivation for me comes from my sports background and the team concept. The reason why I wasn't allowed to play football until I was a junior in high school. My parents wouldn't let me. My dad was a doctor. He wouldn't let me play. And my mother didn't want to see me play. Finally, I begged them hard enough that, one day they just said, okay, go ahead. And I started playing football when I was a junior in high school. And so with that, came the understanding. I was already, a four event champion in track, and I did all this tennis. I was a state champion tennis and stuff. I was doing it all by myself. It wasn't about anybody else but me. And I would come home with those medals in my hand, and I would say, what is this? It's just, I can't celebrate this with anybody. Nobody else will understand this the way I understand it. That's where I think that I started understanding the team concept and the commitment concept, and being committed to something that will empower the brother that you're playing next to and have him do his job better because I'm doing my job better. Well, right now, it's life and death. It's quality of life. I'm being called. I believe that I'm being called. I believe the Lord's calling me to do this, quite frankly. I'm being called to help my brothers. That's the main emphasis and the main push for me being involved in WCTE and helping my brothers and helping anybody else that might come along the way, because that's where the big payoff is going to be coming. It's going to be not with just our little group of guys, but it will be, and it will expand into the general population, and then we will have affected change. So I want to affect change in a positive way and do it through a vehicle like WCTE. This is the main motivator for me.
That's great. And I think that's where, at some point when we get to the end of what we've done in our productive life, we can choose. Do we decide to just right off into the sunset on our own, sit on our laurels, kind of, kick back, play golf, whatever, and just, enjoy the good life? Or do we combine that with continuing to serve others in a capacity where we don't need to make the money from it anymore because we've made the money, but we also don't want to sit idle. And I think the worst thing people can do is buy into the myth of retirement, that you've earned your right to sit down and do nothing, because that's where you rot and fall apart and you'll die. You're mentally and physically, you'll collapse. But if you can invest your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual self into other people, helping them, you realize all that stuff you did before was to accumulate the resources to enable you to do what your real calling is. That's all right. That was leading up. You earned the connections and the experience and the knowledge and the resources to go do what you really need to do, which is to really serve other people and really help them. Serve is the main word there. Service is the main thing that we can do. Is we be really dedicated to serve not ourselves only, but everybody else, man, that needs the help. That's the real deal, man. That's what wakes me up. That's what wakes me up in the morning. That's one thing I liked about Wes's company when I was approached on that is the WCTE. If you want to find out about that, by the way, it's WCTEinc.org, WCTEinc.org. Find out what's going on there, what they're doing. Great stuff. But, Wes is in a position where he could have just taken care of himself, found out medical stuff he needed to fix his own problems and deal with his own thing and live his own life. But he didn't. He went, he started a whole new company, a whole full-time job that he probably didn't need. And he's doing it obviously to help the other people. I know the NFL, there's a lot of players, but it's a pretty small fraternity. And I know all you guys, even though you play on other teams and there's the trash talking and we don't like this team and that, but the truth is you guys are all kind of the same club. Right. And it's a small, unique, elite club. And I see that a group of helping people, and not just themselves, but beyond that, there's other athletes. There's soldiers, PTSD, there's car accident victims that all can benefit from this. There's Alzheimer's patients that all will end up benefiting from what you're doing. And to see a group of people that don't have to do this. That's right. Use the resources to come together. And again, it's that team thing, helping each other help other people. I find that to be a truly high calling and very admirable, honestly. I go back to my bio, and there was a reason why I wanted to be the representative for the Rams for the negotiations to change the collective bargaining agreement and actually have us earn more. Okay. I went through 2 strikes. I sacrificed pieces of my little salary so that these guys today could be earning millions. I'll be honest with you, it is really invigorating to say that my work back then actually did something. Well, that's the same thing that I want to have happen here. You can see that it's happened in the NFL monetarily. I was part of that. I was a part of the negotiation with Gene Upshaw, and Wes was I think a rep also. But it's the excitement that I get to see these guys that have earned. I just don't want them to forget us. Don't forget about us. We're still here. And I won't forget about you, because when you guys get done playing, hopefully what I'm doing now with WCTE is going to help you as well. And that's the key. If we can all do that as part of our end goal as we go out in life, then we make the world a better place than where we found it. So I want to thank our guest today, Ivory Sully, for being on the show and sharing with us his wisdom, his compassion, and what he's doing out there. Fascinating, inspirational discussion. Thank you so much for being on the show. This is Building Solid Foundations. If you missed the live broadcast, catch us on Roku, catch us on Amazon Fire, catch us on Android on the free Building Solid Foundations channel. Or there's a replay every Sunday of the Thursday show. I'm your host, Steve Matley. This is Building Solid Foundations Radio. And until next week, go do something different.
This is KCAA.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. There's concern of a crippling snow event in Buffalo. Lisa G.